Gonna play the guitar, gonna thump the bass.
So 25 years and here we are, and I'm working on my 25th anniversary release, which is going to be really interesting. It's called I'm Feelin' Lucky Because I Am.
It's gonna go my way. I'm feeling lucky. I'm feeling lucky.
It's called I'm Feelin' Lucky because I've survived, which is a good thing to do in this business, man. You know, you got to survive to thrive. I've recorded this record and most of my other records here in my home studio, Serpentine Sound in the Hudson Valley, and this one I had written a bunch of songs over the course of the last year, and when I got off tour I thought, you know, I just want to go into the studio and I just want to mess around. I want to mess around with this stuff. I want to experiment with the arrangements, and I want to do it with no pressure. So I called a good friend of mine, a guy who played with drums with me for a long time, Chris Redden. He's a kid who's from this neck of the woods. I met him when he was 18. I played in his high school, and he came up to me and I said, hey, you know, I like you. You want to do some gigs? And I started using him. Before you know it, he was on the road with me for 6 years and 3 albums. So I called Chris and he started coming by once a week, and he and I would just cut tracks. We just start doing stuff, and it sounded great, man. So the next one I called was my good buddy and cohort Dave Keys, piano player, best piano player that I know, man. Dave is a treasure, that's all I'll say. There's nobody better than him, man, and not a better guy in the world than him. And he's been a really important part of my career, my success. I've played on his, he played on mine. He comes up here and records. It's a great arrangement, man. And you know, he comes out and plays with me live a bunch. It's cool. So Dave came up and started laying down some keyboards, and then my bass player Francesco Beccaro is a 29-year-old guy from Milano, Italy, who's the best bass player I've ever played with. This guy's an amazing musician and an amazing guy. So I had the right personalities, man, and the right people to contribute to this stuff. And then I started thinking, well, I'd really like to have, I've never been one for the special guest thing because a lot of time it's obligatory. People have a special guest because they think it'll do something else. I didn't want that, and I had people throwing people at me. I want people I really love and respect. And Dave came up with this song. It's called "Come to Me." It's a classic R&B song, man. And I called my old friend Dana Fuchs, who I know from when she came to New York and she was 19, and Dana's just skyrocketed. And you know, she's just doing so great and brings it. And she came down and sang on this song, and man, we have such amazing chemistry, man. She made an amazing contribution to this song. She really did. She just tears it up, and so I'm really psyched about that.
And when you're feeling like you can't go on, and you wanna run from her, go on and run from her. Come to me.
You gotta come to me.
Oh, baby, I wanna call you on.
Come to me.
Come to me, yeah.
Come to me.
You better come to me, yeah.
With a
Come to me, come to me. Oh, come to me. I'll be right here. I'll be right here. Oh, come to me. I'm gonna come running, yeah. Come on, running, yeah. Come to me. Come to me. Come on, come on, come on, come on, and come to me, babe. Come to me. You gotta come to me.
And then I had written this song. You know, we were talking about before, life on the road. How do you do it? How do you deal with missing your family? There's a lot of stuff you deal with and sacrifice in order to do this life. And there's a lot of casualties, man. A lot of people who haven't made it along the way or made it to the point that I've made it to. And I've lost a lot of friends. And I wrote this song called Rock On Blues Man. A bunch of years ago, I was hanging out in New York and I met this guy named Mike Zito. And we became instant friends. And ever since then, whenever I've met Mike and Mike's met me on the road, which seems to be quite often, we wind up jamming together, and it's just electric. And I thought, wow, you know, Zito really understands this lifestyle, man. He really gets what's about. So I went up to see him. He was playing at the radio, and I said, Mike, you know, I really want you to play on this track. There's really nobody else I thought of for this, and I want you to write a verse. And he was only too happy to do it. The next week, he sent me an email with his verse in the track, and the track's called Rock On Blues Man, and his verse is Rock On Blues Man, further on up the road. Devil's calling, but you gotta play another show. Time is ticking, you lost another day, there ain't no winner anyway. Rock On Blues Man, you know, and our guitar playing on it is some of the best stuff I've ever done. I'm really happy because getting a great record is all about getting magic moments where it's not about the music anymore, where it's pure soul, and this happens on this song. It's pure soul. I'm really glad, man. And Dave Keys is playing Hammond organ on it. Me and Mike, the rhythm section's killing. It's just great. I can't wait to keep it feel it, man. There's 10 tunes on the record, and it's a lot of my songwriting. I wrote a song called "The Way It Is," which is it's an urban soul ballad, and it's deep. It's really about, you know, there are times where you just sit there, everybody, no matter who you are. This is what the blues is, man. The blues is when you sit there and you realize it's all messed up and there ain't nothing you can do about it. You know, one of my favorite quotes is, people say, what is the blues? And I say, Lisa Simpson had it perfect, man. You know, if you watch The Simpsons, Lisa used to chase this old blues guy around called Bleeding Gums Wachowski. And she one time she went up to him and said, Bleeding Gums, I just want to feel better. And he said, Lisa, the blues ain't about feeling better. It's about making everybody else feel a little bit worse and making a few bucks while you're at it. I thought that was the best thing, man. That, you know, that's kind of the philosophy behind this song. But it's a heavy song, man. There's a lot of heavy, you see a lot of heavy stuff out there. And I've always said, basically I'm a storyteller. You know, and the difference between me and you is that you see an apartment building and I see however many windows are, my mind immediately creates a story for each one of those windows. And it's another one of the windows on this record. I'm Feeling Lucky is the title track from the record. It's a funk, just badass, straight ahead tune with a lot of great New Orleans style lyrics. Dave Keys plays clavinet on it, tears it up. The rhythm section's heavy. I get to play some great wah-wah guitar on this. I love the wah-wah pedal, man. I'm definitely a big fan of the wah-wah, and I wah out on this one, along with Three Little Words. You can guess what they are. This is another song that's just kicking. Chris Redden comes with a great drum groove on this, just driving drum groove. And again, Dave Keys takes a Wurlitzer solo that's just beautiful, jazzy, and then I get the wah-wah on it again, man, and we wah out. Wow. It's great. Rollin' and Tumblin', classic blues song, man. I had to do a version of this. I've been planning on doing it for 21 years, and we got a killing version of this song, man. Great slide playing again, playing a Telecaster on this one, and it's just my own take on a very classic song, man. It's a 3.5 bar groove, so there's 4 14 bars before the change. It's 14 beats before the change. It's great, man. After a while, when you're doing this for about 5 or 6 minutes, it becomes a meditation. You just zone into this thing. It's a trance. It's great. I watched R.L. Burnside play this once with Kenny Brown playing guitar, and I was like, man, these guys are trancing out. They're not even there. And that's a lot of that North Mississippi stuff, man. That's what that's about. So I try to draw on that aspect about it, where it's a repetitive groove that just draws you in, man. And before you know it, you're in another place, which is what it's all about. One leg at a time. Put your pants out. I got a cure for depression. You don't need no medication. Just hear what I say and try this meditation. You got to put your pants on one leg at a time, because the sun is shining and there ain't no use in crying. Because it gets back to my point, man. Life is hard. You know, it's hard for everybody. And this is a jump swing tune, and that's the philosophy, man. We've been playing this one live. People love it. It really goes over well. One of my favorite songs on the record, a very personal song to me. This one's called "I'm a Pitbull, Nothing But Love." I wrote this song for all the doggies out there, man. I'm a big dog lover. I have a little Pitbull. I love him dearly. Very misunderstood breed. I work with people who do Pitbull rescue and retraining and use the dogs as service dogs. A lot of veterans who are coming back from Iraq and Afghanistan are suffering deeply from post-traumatic stress disorder and a variety of mental and physical ailments. These guys are, a friend of mine, Gunnar Carson, he rescues pit bulls, he trains them as service dogs, and he gives them to these guys, and the dogs heal these wounded warriors, man. It's a beautiful thing. There is not a more loyal, devoted, and emotionally intuitive dog than a pit bull, man. So, don't hate the breed, man. If you see a bad dog, no matter what breed it is, it's a bad owner, not the dog. Because dogs are nothing but love, especially pit bulls. And finally, Save Your Own Life. This is a real jazzy, almost kind of like Allman Brothers kind of groove, and the song's about hitting bottom, man. Like I said, back in December, I kind of like came to a conclusion. I'm 54 years old now. I plan on doing this for a while longer. God willing, I definitely plan on being here and doing this. Realized I couldn't do it at 415 pounds, man. Interesting. There's another question that I read. It said, do you know Leslie West? Now, I've been a big dude all my life. From the time I was 13 and started playing guitar, people said, you look like Leslie West. I had a big afro. I never played like Leslie. However, about 10 years ago, I got a call from somebody to do a record with Leslie. So I worked with Leslie. I got to know him really well and love him dearly. He's a piece of work, and he's a great guy, and he's still a brilliant guitar player, and he really is rock and roll royalty. About a year and a half ago, Leslie lost a leg to diabetes. He lost a leg, and he is now in a wheelchair. He has to be taken on and off stage, and that made a real impression on me, man. And I'm sure Leslie would agree. Diabetes is a really heavy and terrible ailment, and it's insidious because people tend to go into denial about it. And seeing Leslie lose a leg like that really changed my perspective of my own outlook on my own health, and it also inspired this song called Save Your Own Life, because I always say this, you gotta give yourself a break. Nobody else could give yourself a break except you, man. So with that, I'm gonna say something I say quite often. If nobody told you they love you today, Papa Chubby loves you.
I'm used to pumping.